Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. This is what if Naruto is experimented on. I hope you guys enjoy. Like goal for this video is 20 likes because I realize I am not on my original channel, so I can't be saying 50 likes because my channel is not that big yet. So yes, just going back to the OG, 20 likes, and then maybe part 2 would be 50. I don't really know, or I'll just keep it at 20. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's get started with today's video. I just said video into never mind. We go to Naruto at the age of 3. His whole life has just been full of hatred. He doesn't even know what to do at this point. Walking down the street with baggy clothes can't even fit him, as you look at the street lights just flickering on and off, as it seems that the light or electricity in the village is slowly going lower, and that they would need to make a new water mill. What do you call it? Dam, basically. As Naruto would be walking, he would notice someone standing there, as he would just try his luck and ask if this person can give him some money. As Naruto would walk over, the person would be wearing a weird jonin, or would be wearing a jonin suit and look like a girl from behind, but when it turned around, Naruto would be frightened a bit by the snake-like appearance. Orochimaru, who you know is the person we know is Orochimaru, would turn around to see little Naruto staring at him. Oh, what do I have here? As Naruto would look or bow his head. Please sir, can you give me some money? As Orochimaru would smile. Oh, poor little thing. Of course I'll give you some money, but for a job first. Naruto would look up eagerly. Of course I'll do any job. Paint the fences, cut your grass, anything. As Orochimaru would smile. No, boy. I'd like you to become my student. Naruto would raise an eyebrow, as he's never really thought of becoming a shinobi. All he wanted was a lot of money and just to rest in his life. But this person's asking for training, and might as well. It'll be easy money. He gets to get stronger, and he gets money. So win-win for him. As he would agree, Orochimaru said, "Good. Meet here tomorrow at 7 a.m. Naruto would be happy as he'd run back to the little apartment Hiruzen has given him. As he'd be resting in his apartment, he wondered what the training is about and why this random person that looked like a shinobi would ask for him to be a student. He has no clan that he can walk to, and he's basically a poor person in this giant village. The orphanage kicked him out of the village, or kicked him out of the building, and now that he's about to become stronger, he's quite excited as he'd go to sleep. The next day, Naruto would walk over to the spot Orochimaru told him to, as Orochimaru would appear. Ah, you arrived on time. Perfect. Now, tell me what you know about chakra. Naruto would sit down as he would think, rubbing his chin. Everybody has it? As Orochimaru would laugh. Yes, everyone does have it. But is that all? As Naruto would nod his head, Orochimaru frowned. It seems that you need a little more knowledge. As Orochimaru would suddenly bring up a scroll, which would poof in books. Naruto would look at all of them as he'd be about the human parts and how chakra works. As Naruto looked up, "Are you strong, sir?" As Orochimaru smiled, "Yes. You don't know this, but I am part of the legendary Sannin." Naruto wouldn't know who that is or what that is, as he would say, "Nope, don't know what that is." Orochimaru would smile as he continued on, showing Naruto these books. Eventually, Naruto would get used to the presence of Orochimaru and continually go onto this spot every day to get training. After reading all those books for a few weeks, Naruto was finally learning how to control chakra, and he was even starting to learn how to use a sword since he saw Orochimaru use it before. Orochimaru would take great pride in what Naruto is becoming, and soon would ask him to do a bit more. As Naruto would be confused about this, as Orochimaru told him to meet in a new location which he hasn't known about. Naruto would be in the Hokage office with Orochimaru, as Hiruzen would be looking at the request form. "So, you want to take Naruto out of the village?" Orochimaru would nod his head, as Hiruzen would raise an eyebrow. "That's interesting, Orochimaru. I was actually going to get Jiraiya to take Naruto, but it seems that you beat him to the punch. Sure, just make sure you get him back within a month." Orochimaru would smile, as Hiruzen for some reason got a weird chill from the smile. "Don't worry, Hiruzen. I'll be able to get it. Or I will." As he would leave with Naruto, Naruto would pack his bag, as lately he's been getting more stuff. His clothes would now fit his body, and he seems more clean as he's been able to pay off the rent thanks to Orochimaru. Also, his skill level would say Genin because Orochimaru trained him pretty good, as Naruto would be walking with Orochimaru after leaving the village. "So Orochimaru, where are we going?" As Orochimaru would stare back at Naruto. We're going to one of my secret bases. Naruto would be happy. You have a secret base? That's crazy, as Orochimaru would smile. Yes. Like Jiraiya, I have my own spy network. Naruto would think that's cool as they continue walking and eventually be very far away from the village. As they'll be in this dark cave, Naruto will be trying to adjust his eyes to see through the darkness until suddenly something hit his neck. As he would fall flat on the ground, not knowing what it is, everything would start to blur around him. As he tried to ask for Orochimaru's help, but would get nothing in return. As then he closed his eyes, wondering what will happen next. Next thing you know it, he wakes up and he's tied to this metal table as he can feel the cold metal pushing into his back, almost stinging him from how cold it is. As he look up at the light who would be shining down in his face, where am I? Suddenly he would hear footsteps as he'd look his head in that direction to see his sensei Orochimaru walking out, putting on some gloves. As Naruto, "Sensei, what's happening?" Orochimaru would smile as he looked at Naruto. "Poor one. Don't worry, Naruto. I'll make you stronger." As Naruto would look as Orochimaru would take a needle and pierce it into his arm, as Naruto would flinch by the pain, as Orochimaru would say, "That's a problem, I guess. I will fix you. You will no longer feel pain." Naruto would be confused by this, as soon he would see Orochimaru bring out some syringes and other cutting materials for medical jutsu, as Naruto would be screaming out, not feeling the pain, but absolutely seeing his body get ripped into by Orochimaru, who he has trusted for all these years, technically 2 years by now, all these years, as Naruto would soon pass out from seeing all the blood from his body. Eventually, Orochimaru would finish as he'd add some tweaks into it. Thanks to the Kyuubi, Orochimaru would be happy that Naruto's healing quite fast as he's already put a curse mark on his neck. This is good. I've already increased his pain tolerance by quite a lot, and he shouldn't be able to feel it. The only thing I have to worry about is the emotions. If he grows to hate me, then it'll be quite troublesome. As he would walk out of the room, Orochimaru would eventually arrive back at Konoha's. Hiruzen would stare at Orochimaru. "Orochimaru, where's Naruto?" As Orochimaru would act panic, I don't know, Hiruzen. When me and Naruto were walking down a road, we got ambushed and he was taken. Hiruzen would be immediately on foot, as he would call all Anbu to go look for Naruto, helping with Orochimaru, and soon 2 weeks had passed as Hiruzen had given up on Naruto, thinking he has died. Eventually he would sometimes send Anbu just to check around, but he won't be that hopeful. Orochimaru has now been under the watch the entire time, thinking that Orochimaru didn't have Naruto, but in reality, Orochimaru has been doing tons of experiments on Naruto. Naruto at this point has lost all feeling in his body. He's just given up. Orochimaru did tell him that Hiruzen sent Anbus to look for him, which would bring his spirits up until 2 weeks passed and Orochimaru stopped talking about it. Naruto would just be looking into the sky, as it seems that Orochimaru is doing something with natural energy, as Orochimaru would be sitting up there. There would be a hole in the cave leading to the sky, as it would be very cloudy and raining, as the water would be smashing into Naruto's face. Naruto just enjoyed the feeling of water finally. Naruto would look up where Orochimaru was sitting, as Orochimaru would be explaining his plan, saying that he's hoping that the curse mark Orochimaru put on Naruto's neck would be able to absorb natural chakra and give him sage mode of some kind. Orochimaru would be very intrigued at this until it started raining even harder, as Naruto would look up in the sky, which Orochimaru would also, as it would be thundering. Orochimaru would smile, wondering what's going to happen, as suddenly he would sense a huge amount of nature chakra coming from the sky as he would jump away, lightning going through the hole that was in the cave, hitting Naruto immediately. Orochimaru would be confused at this, as suddenly the lightning inside the cave would be bouncing around, smashing through every experiment, or every liquid that is in there. Naruto's screams can be heard within the cave, and soon the lightning or the light would die out as Orochimaru would run over to the hole to check what's happened inside. Naruto would be unconscious, lightning streaking all over his body, and it seems that the seal on Naruto's belly would actually grow a new symbol on it, as instead of a swirl, it would just be a jagged lightning bolt of some sorts. The curse mark on Naruto's neck would be connected, as the three Tomoes would actually meet in the middle, as lightning, or as the tail of the tomes would be in a jagged formation. Orochimaru would wonder what that means as he'd jump down the hole, as he'd use the earth style to cover up the hole, as he would walk over to Naruto, checking his pulse to realize he's still alive. Well, it seems that the pain tolerance and the toughening of your skin has helped you survive this. You should thank me for that, as he would walk away. Eventually, Hiruzen did figure out Orochimaru was experimenting on Naruto, which made Hiruzen in absolute rage, and this time he wouldn't hesitate to kill Orochimaru. But thanks to Orochimaru's experiments, he would be able to escape, barely surviving Hiruzen's wrath, and Naruto would be taken back to Konoha safely. When Naruto woke up after the unconscious state, it's been 3 weeks since Naruto was struck by lightning, and 2 days after Naruto was struck by lightning, Hiruzen figured out, so it's been 3 weeks in total. Naruto looked up the sky, but instead of seeing the dark cave he was in, he would be in a nice white room, as the air conditioning would be blowing on him, as he'd be under a blanket. Looking at, he would see a very expensive hospital tool beeping, as Naruto would ask if that beeping can turn off, as Hiruzen would laugh in the side. Naruto would immediately spin his head to look in the direction where he heard the laugh to see Hiruzen, as he would start to tear up. Hiruzen would see Naruto start to tear up, as he would run up to Naruto, hugging him, as Naruto would cry all of his pain out onto Hiruzen, as Hiruzen would be saying sorry to Naruto for giving him to Orochimaru. Eventually Naruto would be released from the hospital, and his eyes has been permanently changed. Due to the fact that Naruto had to use Kurama's chakra a lot, his chakras made an impact into Naruto's eyes, making both of them completely red with slits, which didn't help him with the village's reputation, as he's even more hated, thinking he is part of the Kyuubi. But instead of both eyes being red and slits, his left eye would be completely yellow with the jagged form of a lightning bolt. Hiruzen has tried everything to take off the curse mark, even calling Jiraiya. Jiraiya still said it's not like the curse mark he studied, but a form of different version of it. Naruto wouldn't know what that means, but soon he would get training from Jiraiya, trying to make him forget about Orochimaru. Every time Orochimaru's name would mention, Naruto's hatred for him grew even further, especially when Jiraiya would talk about him. Naruto would tell Jiraiya to train him even harder because he wants to kill that snake bastard, as Jiraiya would smirk, as he would just say, fine, and the training with Jiraiya would begin. Naruto did try summoning the toads at this point. At this point, he is the age of 13, and the academy is already graduated, and the teams have been picked. Naruto so far hasn't decided to become a shinobi, so Hiruzen didn't put him in the academy because Naruto doesn't want to join him. Hiruzen would be confused as Jiraiya would come in and tell that Naruto's not able to summon whatsoever. He's tried every chakra, and since Naruto has used Kyuubi's chakra a lot, he's actually able to control about to one tail of Kyuubi. But that's all of it. If he tries to push the two, he will lose control, and Kyuubi would take over. But Jiraiya did say that Naruto's brainwaves have seemed to increase somehow. He's able to learn faster than anyone else, and sometimes when Naruto and him are sparring, he's able to see Jiraiya move slowly. Jiraiya doesn't know what this means, but he would say that the eye that Naruto has in his left socket would be some sort of dojutsu to slow down time for him. It's weird, as Jiraiya would ask Hiruzen if he can get Kakashi to help him. Hiruzen would just accept this, as soon the next day Kakashi would be with Jiraiya, as they would be looking at Naruto training with a dummy. They'd realize that Naruto's speed is slowly increasing after the first punch, and after more. Kakashi would activate his Sharingan, as he would see the chakra through Naruto's body moving faster and faster, to the point where it's actually starting to turn to a different color. Kakashi would look at Jiraiya, Jiraiya would say, "So, what do you see, Kakashi?" As Kakashi would point at Naruto. His chakra, it's moving faster. Jiraiya would be confused, as Naruto soon would be able to move fast enough that Jiraiya and Kakashi can't even see what's happening. Naruto's so in the zone, he doesn't even notice what's happening. He just thinks that he's just punching it normally, but in reality, every swing he does is nothing. At this point, they don't even see Naruto's fist or arm. They just see Naruto staring at it. But they do see the dummy moving back and forth from the hits, and every time there would be a hit, it would be an arc of lightning. electricity of sorts. Kakashi would say that Naruto is moving so fast like Sharingan, the 3 Tomoe, the fully matured Sharingan, can't even keep up, as Jiraiya would be super impressed as he would yell out Naruto's name. Naruto would turn his head, and this would lose the focus, and Naruto would lose the zone as everything would go back to normal. Kakashi would tell Jiraiya that the chakra is slowed down to a normal pace, as Jiraiya would run up to Naruto. "Do you know what you just did, Naruto?" Naruto would shrug his shoulders, saying, "No, I was just practicing my taijutsu." As Jiraiya would laugh, "You call that taijutsu? We couldn't even see what you're doing." As Naruto would raise an eyebrow, "I was hitting the dummy." As Jiraiya would look at the dummy, they'd notice burn marks from high voltage hitting the dummy multiple times. As Jiraiya would say, "Okay." As he would walk away, as Kakashi would say, "So, how are we gonna tell him that he has special abilities or something?" As Jiraiya would immediately spin around, throwing a kunai, as Naruto would be in absolute shock to see the kunai flying towards him. As he would think Jiraiya is betraying him like Orochimaru, suddenly the kunai would pause time, or things would stop. As you look at the sky to see the bird who would be flying off the tree, frozen in air. Looking at Jiraiya and Kakashi, Naruto noticed that their chest is not moving whatsoever. They're not blinking, and Jiraiya is still in that same pose of throwing the kunai. The kunai would be right next to his face, as Naruto would touch it as an arc of lightning would touch the kunai, infusing it with lightning, as Naruto would wonder what's happening. Grabbing the kunai, suddenly everything would continue back. The bird flying into the sky, and Kakashi be in shock, and Jiraiya landing in a stance after throwing the kunai. As they would look at Naruto holding the kunai, they would be impressed, as Jiraiya actually put full power into that kunai, making sure it goes faster than normal, and Naruto just grabbed it. Naruto would look at Jiraiya furious as he would dash towards Jiraiya, which would be confusing to Jiraiya and Kakashi, as Naruto would disappear in a blur, as he would appear right in front of Jiraiya, about to hit him, until he noticed that he's next to Jiraiya. Naruto would look at the ground to see a fire streak from where he stood, as Jiraiya would pat Naruto's head. "Well, it seems that you have actually gotten something." Naruto would look up at Jiraiya, as Kakashi would be amazed. His chakra was back to normal. Jiraiya would smile. "You got a Genkai, Naruto." Naruto would be in absolute shock as he would stare at both of them, as he started jumping around, saying that he has a Genkai, which is super cool. Now begin the training with Naruto's super speed of some sorts. They eventually figured out that the curse mark Naruto for some reason changed is actually a Senjutsu mark, able to absorb natural energy, but not just that, but able to absorb natural lightning. As Jiraiya has tried this before, thanks to Kakashi trying a Chidori on him, the Chidori wouldn't pierce Naruto, but Kakashi would just hold it in his hand, as Naruto's Senjutsu mark would actually absorb it, giving Naruto more of a lightning arc around him. As Kakashi would say that he's able to use lightning from any jutsu, even from the sky, to increase his own abilities, which would make Jiraiya even more happy as he'd start the training with the Rasengan, seeing if Naruto would be able to complete it, due to the fact that Naruto's chakra control over lightning is much higher than anyone else in the village. The training would be slow, but thanks to Naruto's quick brain and his chakra flow of moving at incredible speed, would be able to do the Rasengan within 1 week, which would surprise Jiraiya, as it took Minato 4 years to actually learn it and master it. Naruto said this is so cool, as Jiraiya would say, "Alright, make a Rasengan." As Naruto would make a Rasengan in his hand, one-handed, as Jiraiya would say, "Can you put any lightning into it?" Naruto would think, as he would start to channel his chakra into lightning, as his chakra movement would go faster, and to a point where arcs would be coming out of his hand as he would go into the Rasengan, making the blue orb start to turn to a metallic gold, as Jiraiya would stare at it in amazement. And soon arcs of lightning would start to sprawl out until it makes rings. Naruto would be confused and would start to make multiple rings surrounding it, as Naruto would think this is epic. Jiraiya would stare as he said, "Slam into the tree." Naruto would try to slam into the tree, as he would burst the tree into pure dust at this point, or charcoal, or just burning everything, as Jiraiya would think that's amazing. Naruto would wave his hand around, as Jiraiya would say, "What, Naruto?" As Naruto would say that it's sticking to him. As Jiraiya would wonder what's happening, as Naruto would say, "I'm starting to lose control." Immediately, Jiraiya would immediately run up to Naruto, grabbing his hand as he would throw it. Naruto would throw a Rasengan, which would then disappear. Jiraiya would be happy that the Rasengan just didn't blow up in Naruto's hand until suddenly a giant explosion would happen. As they look in the direction Naruto threw the Rasengan, which they thought was destroyed, a giant crater where it landed. Jiraiya would stare at Naruto. You just made that Rasengan invisible. Naruto would be in absolute shock as a grin would grow on his face. How much can I do? Jiraiya and Naruto would go into a jutsu spree, training Naruto in all these lightning abilities and seeing what they can do with them. But this will be the end of this part. I hope you guys enjoy. Remember, like goal for this video is 20 likes. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, share this with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.